Thank you for joining me today. I'm in Mark's Gospel, the 15th chapter, almost to the very end of the chapter of the entire Gospel. Mark's Gospel was written to primarily a Roman audience. We're seeing the life of Jesus from the perspective of Peter. Peter was one who pretty much put his arm around Mark, and Mark was his disciple. He was his understudy, and most of what we read in the Gospel of Mark is written from the perspective of Peter. Now, in this particular context, Peter is writing to a largely Roman audience. And this Roman audience is not concerned about a lot of the Jewish law and things like that. So as you read through the Gospel of Mark, you recognize that there isn't the kind of emphasis on the Old Testament and fulfilling the Old Testament prophecies like you see in Matthew and somewhat in Luke and later on in John also. But Mark is written very succinctly. The Romans were people who were very practical, very pragmatic. They didn't dwell a lot on the philosophies of the Greeks and that sort of thing, but rather they were men of action, and that's what we see in the Gospel of Mark. The climax of the Gospel of Mark comes at the end of Jesus' life. Comes when Jesus is crucified on the cross, and the centurion who's been watching the whole thing. He was, of course, the one who was in charge of the delegation that was of Roman soldiers that was to actually do the deed and crucify Jesus. And so he's the one who was sitting or standing underneath the cross, and he saw all that went on. He saw the two thieves on either side of Jesus. He saw the enmity and the envy of the religious leaders of the Jews. He also saw the innocence of Jesus. He saw the release of Barabbas, as where Jesus took Barabbas's place in that particular day of crucifixion. And all of this he saw from his perspective as a Roman centurion, a Roman soldier. And so when at the end of Jesus' crucifixion, the centurion looks at Jesus, and Jesus has breathed his last, and he's given up his life. And the centurion said, "Truly, this man was the Son of God." Verse 39. Now that's really the climax of Mark's Gospel. He's wanting everybody to realize in his own way, in his own writing, that Jesus is indeed the Messiah. But of course, Messiah is not a term that the Romans would worry about or be concerned with. But the Son of God, the righteousness and the innocence of this man who died in our place, was something that would speak very clearly to a Roman audience. And that's what the centurion was repeating at this particular time. Of course, if you've seen the old movie where John Wayne plays that particular one, he's the one who recites that particular word in the old movie. But the point here is that this centurion suddenly came to realize who Jesus is. Now, we don't have any record that the centurion was someone who actually put his faith in Jesus. He might have been. It might have been that this was the man Cornelius that later on in the book of Acts would call for Peter to come and preach the gospel to him and to his household. But we don't know that for sure. All we know is that it was a Roman centurion. And we'll not find out until heaven whether this particular man actually put his trust and his faith in Jesus, or if he just saw from a distance and saw generally that Jesus was indeed a righteous and innocent man. But the point here is that in Mark's gospel, we come to this particular climax, and we need to come to that climax in our lives as well. We need to recognize that Jesus is indeed the Son of God, that he is the one who was predicted from of old, as as Matthew and as John speak of, that he was the one who was the righteous, innocent lamb that Isaiah 53 talks about. It appears that the centurion understood something of that particular idea. And that's why this becomes the high point of Mark's gospel. I hope that's the high point of your life also. That moment when you recognize that Jesus is indeed God himself, the Son of God, meaning that he was equal with God, and that he was the substitute for you and for me on the cross. Father, grant to us the grace that we need to embrace this particular idea. There are a lot of people in our world who give lip service to it. But Father, I pray that each one who listens to this video blog will truly embrace Messiah Jesus. I pray that they will understand from whatever culture they come that he is God in the flesh, and that he died in their place and for their sins. Meet us, Father, and draw near to us in your name. Amen. God bless you. Have a great day.